Hey guys, welcome to this part where we're gonna talk about modeling and we will model the scene. So let's get started. Here is the reference if you would like to follow. I will leave the link in the description. And basically, we're going to model the scene step by step. First, we will start with the furniture, with the floor, walls, and the roof, the big parts, and we will move on to smaller things. We will also identify which things are repeating in the scene so we can just model it once and then duplicate it across the scene. And what I would recommend you is to download this reference, and then you can check with marking what you have already modeled and what's already done and what's missing. So let's get started. Also, as I mentioned, this what I was doing, this scene was originally modeled so it can run on mobile phones. So it was heavily optimized. And what we can do right now, if you would ever model anything for games and you would like to see how many polygons, how many triangles, and other statistics of the scene, how many it has, you can go over here to the viewport overlays, and then you can take over here the statistics. And now we can see that we have 3 objects, 8 vertices, 12 edges, 6 faces, 12 triangles. So now we can press A and X, and we can press delete. Also, if you want, you can go to window and toggle window full screen. So Blender is all over your screen. So let's get started. That we will name this kitchen. And we can start by creating a mesh, a cube. What I like to do is to have the pivot point always at the bottom, so it's easier to scale things and move. So I'm going to press tab, which goes to the edit mode, and G and Z and 1. So now when I scale the cube, it always stays at the bottom of the grip. So what we can do this scale. When I press and select both, I can type 2, it will be 2 meters. We can do even 4, and here we can tap and do 0.5. So we have the floor now. What I like to do is to first do a layout of the scene. So we can basically first create cubes and place it as the furniture and the walls. And then we will start adding details and the other props. So let's create our cube. Do the same thing, tab, G, and Z, 1. Also, I'm going to turn on shortcuts for you so you can see on the screen what I'm pressing. And now I'm just going to scale it down and move it to the place where I think it should be. And scale it how I feel that it should be big. Also, what we can do now, we can add another cube and move it up again. Scale it down. And when I press N and go to item, I can here change the size to 4 meters. And here maybe I can do 2 meters. No, here it does that. Here I can do it to 0.05. Well, I see that it's not high enough, so I have to Maybe I make it 4. That's too much, so maybe 3. Yeah, it should be now fine. Now I will duplicate it, rotate it 90 degrees. Place it. And what I can do now, here we have, it looks like here is a kind of another wall. So I will create another cube, and here is another cube. So I move it here to the corner, and I duplicate the cube to another corner. And now I hold Shift and select both of them, S and Z, and we can write actually 3 meters and 3 meters. Then I will duplicate this cube, move it to the side, and change the scale over here. Maybe 0.1. If I press 7, I go to the top view. And I can move it. If I hold Shift, then it moves slower. So here we have basically the layout. I select this one, duplicate, move it here, 90 degrees. Scale it on the X. Now I can go with tab to edit mode. Here I can press this button so I can see through. I can select it here and G and X. Nice. Move it like that. So what I can do is like that. I can move it inside. Okay. I think that the wall is not a perfect square, so I can go to edit mode and move it again a little bit. Yeah, like that. Now we have to move this. Scale it down. And also here with the edit mode, we can move it. It looks much more like the reference. Also here, I think I need to scale it a little bit more. So in edit mode, I can do like that. What we can do, we can go to edit mode and select the edge here and select another edge here and Control B for beveling. So we have this. And as I look at the reference, this needs to be pushed back a little bit, like that. Yeah, like this. Maybe a little bit smaller on the X. Can delete this and duplicate it again so it's better aligned. Scroll it down. What we could do also is to create a camera. So we always have camera which we will be able to look through, and we can align the camera with the scene. So if you press 0, then you will get to the camera view. If you press R and Z, then you can rotate on the z-axis, and if you press G and twice middle mouse button, you can zoom in, zoom out. Or G and Z, you can move it down, and R and X tilt up. Also, if we go here to this icon, you can change it to a square by typing this number. Now what we could do, we could also play with the focal length to do like 120, and with double G, with pressing twice G, we can go out. So now we can position the camera, we can maybe even increase it to 200 and G and Z. I mean G and middle mouse button, and position it. If you also go to camera and the viewport display, here you can change that you see only what's inside the camera. And now if you want, you can either go to window and new window. So if you have two screens on the computer, you can have this one on the other screen, and then if you press 0, then you are in the camera view. You can check it. Also here you can change some stuff so you can have better visibility. You can turn on the shadow, you can do the cavity to see the edges. And if you don't have another screen, what you can do is so you can here open new window, press 0, and you are here. You just have to go to this button, and over here you have to turn on the shadow and the cavity. So that way you can always see what's in the, you can also turn off this, so you have only the visibility of the scene. So right now what we can do is to create the roof. So I will go and duplicate this and position it on top. Here how we can fix that is that we do is go to edge mode, and now we can move it on here, the G. I go to top view. Actually, here you have to select edge. Like that. Now it's straight. Same thing you can do here. Also, if you want to be sure that it's straight, you can select the face like this. S and 0, scale it to 0. And here as well. And we can delete this edge because we don't really need it. X and dissolve edges. So the edge is gone. And Shift S and cursor toward origin. So it's back. So now what we can do, we can go to edit mode, select this, move it back, just have to, well, actually, we can leave it on, and like that, it snaps. And what we can do with this, we have to move this also. And now what we can do is to move also this. And we need to move also this wall. Like that. And it snaps. Looks way better. So I think this will need to be a little bit more. Just basically, this is the hardest part. You can turn off the magnet. This is the hardest part to get right the proportions, dimensions basically. And once we have this basic blocking, then it'll be much easier to just model things. Still think that this needs to be. Let's select them like this and move them a little bit. And this we can scale a little bit and move. Yeah. This also needs to be scaled this way and put more in the back. So now what we can do, we can create the table in the front. So what I would do, I would, if you press N, this menu disappears, shows up. So what we can do, we can create the table in the front, and we can go to mesh and add another tube. Scale it down, move it to the front. Spade like that. I can do cursor to select it. And here what I can do Shift S, selection to cursor. Now it's in the middle. Exactly. Don't worry really if the faces are penetrating each other. It's not a big deal in this project what we need to build. So it could be something like that. Now what we can do, we can create the desk. So we add another cube. Actually, we can just duplicate this one, Shift D, G and Z, move it up, go to Object, and set origin to geometry. This makes the orange dot to go exactly in the middle. Now we can rotate it, because it's important, because always the orange dot is like, I don't know, the center for everything. Like for scaling, if you scale it, it will go to the center. If you move it or rotate it, it will rotate around this. So that's why it's important to have it in the right place. Now we move it down. It actually needs to be smaller like that. And as I see on the reference, it's not really straight. It's curved here. So what we have to do, we have to go to edit mode. And before that, I can also scale it a little bit like that. Also, there's a trick. If you see that it's touching the other geometry, you can press Shift H. It will hide everything, and only this part will be visible. So you can select this edge and this edge. And now we have it selected. We go to object mode, Alt H, everything is visible. Select this again, edit mode, Control B for bevel. But now we have a problem that the bevel is not doing what we exactly want. What we have to do, we have to apply, we have to be in object mode and Control A and apply rotation and scale. And now when we go to edit mode and Control B, it does what we want. If you scroll the middle mouse button, it will add more loops, which we want to make it more smooth, the bevel. So you can do 12 segments, it's fine. So right now what we can do, it kind of looks similar, starting to look similar like our reference, but I feel like this is maybe too big. So let's select this and this, Shift H, and go to edit mode. And we select this face, and we move it a little bit. Alt H. Let's see. I would scale a little bit this part. on Shift and Z, so it doesn't scale on the Z axis. Move it. And now let's hide this wall and position it. You can also go to select this face and move it to the side. Alt H to unhide the wall. Also move it a little bit back. I mean, we can always use this. To snap it better. It looks better. So basically now, like, I'm not going to use anything what I haven't used before. I just need to do the blocking and move things and scale it and just move it so it looks as close as possible to the reference. So I'm going to speed this part up and I'm going to do the process of moving. So now we should have something like this, and everything should be aligned, and the size should match. Also, I've seen that here we have to align better. So GZ, align this one, and the bottom that, and Shift H, I select this face, Alt H, so it should be aligned. So now what we can do, we can optimize it. Basically, as I was saying, this was for the video game, for a mobile video game. And in video games, you need, first of all, as less as triangles as possible. So any face which we don't really need, we can delete. And basically, we don't need the faces which we don't see. So for example, this wall, I can go here and I can select this and I can delete this face. We don't need it because here we have the wall and here we see it. Same thing we can do here. We can delete this. This is like how you optimize things. We can also delete this one. And basically we can delete, like, if you hold Alt And like that, we can delete all of the faces here because they are hidden. This I would leave. Over here, we can delete this top and this bottom one because we don't really see it. Same thing with the furniture. You can delete it. We would need just this face, this face, this face, this face. So right now, I will also align the furniture so it's aligned with the rest of the geometry. We can delete this one actually, because I won't have it the same height, and duplicate this one again. Rotate 90 degrees and place it here. And now align with the edge. Can also scale it down. Yeah, and that's it. So now let's add the details. If you want, you can also, for sure, delete. Over here, this we can also move. And over here, this we can also move like this. And this. And delete faces. Edge mode. Do it here. This one is sealed. Same thing. You could technically do here as well. Like this one, this one, and this one. Delete that. You can do this because we don't really use subdivision surface in the games. So it really doesn't matter how much geometry we have. Like, I mean, that we don't have the faces. So we can leave it like that for now. And what we can do is to create a window. So I'm going to now add new cube. This one we don't need to move the pivot point to the bottom because this will use for bevel. I'll show you a trick what I like to do, so I can see how big the hole is. So we go here to this, and here we can click wire. So what I can do now is the modifiers. Select the wall, add modifier, and here is boolean. And when we place it to the wall, we will have the window. So we can place it to the top, and now we can scale it. And in real time, we can see like how the window will be. And position it like that. The good thing is that we don't have to apply it now. We can apply it whenever we want. But then when we apply it, there is no way back. Almost. So, what we have? Right now, what we can do, we can duplicate this and take it to the top. This will be our cupboard. Shift H. And now we need this. So I will select this edge and we need this face to be created. I will turn on this tool again. And with E, we extrude the face like that. And also push it more inside like this. We'll turn off this tool. So now we have a cupboard. We could do another part, a shelf for the plates. So technically we can duplicate this. Shift D, G, and Z. Let's go down. Now what we need is the cupboard. So I can duplicate this. Or I will just duplicate this again. GZ. And rotate on this. Now I will delete this face and extrude it. And object set origin to geometry. Now what I can do is I can do Shift S, cursor to selected, and here selection to cursor. Yeah, move it like that. And now we have the shelf for the plates. Also, we can move it a little bit out, turn this on, align it on the other side. Now what we could do, we could Control R. With Control R, we can cut this in edit mode. I would select this and insert faces and individual. Now if you go here, individual origins, we can scale the faces like this. And if we do it for mobile, we want to have less geometry. So with P, we can do the selection. And we can move it out. Now we have to do some editing here. Shift H. And what we need to do, we need to go to side mode, F to fill the face, F, F. And if you press Shift R, this will repeat the last action. Now we select this and do the self edges. And also here. We need to select only these 3 edges actually. And the self edges. So now what we can do, we can go to edit mode, A and E to extrude. Better if you delete, if you turn off this tool. Shift H. And we can delete the spaces. I will also do this so I can better see the objects. Oh yeah. So now we have the doors. Now we could do the window. So let's say we like this window as it is. I can now apply, and now we can delete this cube. What I would do is I would go to edit mode, select this, and extrude it, just so it looks like there's actually some kind of wall. And what I can do now, I can select this with Alt and Shift. And now I can do Shift D and P and select it. So it will be different geometry. What I can do now, go to edit mode, A to select all the edges. And also before that, I can do rotation and scale. Control A, rotation and scale. And in edit mode, I can extrude. And I can also press A again and extrude it again. But do this. So now we have the frame. In the reference, this bottom part is bigger. So I can select this face, G and Z. Now we can do the actual window, just going to be like the door closing for the window or whatever. So what we can do to match the size, we can select this. If you hold Alt, you select it like this, and Shift D and P selection. And what I would like to also do, I would like to Shift S and cursor to select it, because I want the window to be able to open. And I want object set origin to 3D cursor. So now when I rotate the window will open like this. And then I can easily open it later. So now Shift H, we will work around the window. And as we can see in the reference, here it goes like this. And there we have 2 more lines over here. So what we can do is to create to here, to here. Now we select everything. And we could have done it before, but let's do it now. And extrude. Inside. Wait, let me just check if it's inside or outside. Yeah, we have to extrude it inside. And then scale it. Now what we can do, we can select this and select this. Select the one on the bottom. S, Y, 0. Make it straight. Like this one. Select this one. S, Y, 0. Make it straight. Now select all of them. And S, Y. But we have to go here and do median point. Now what we can do, I'll also select this loop and move it a little bit out, like that. Now we can do this. And X to delete faces. And then, I'm not sure if you have it, but let's go to Edit, Preferences. And here in the key map, Space, Action, Search. You need to put it search. So now, when I press space, we can do bridge. And voila, we will have this thing in the middle. So now we can make the other two parts. I make loops here, and loops here, and loops here. And now the same thing. Let's select them, S and Z and 0. And here, and here, and here. S and Z and 0. Select all of them. And now do Control B. But scroll down with the mouse button. And have only one, like me. One segment. So, right now, same thing. We will just select the faces. Over here, over here, over here, and etc. And X and delete faces. Now with Alt and Shift, select the edges and do bridge. Same thing here. Shift R to do the same part, the last action. Shift R to repeat. So now we have it, the window. And we can also open it. On the Z, if you rotate, to open like that. So there's one more window, which is a little bit smaller. I will create loops here, G and Z, S and Z, scale it down. And now insert face, scale it, and X, delete face. Now let's select this, extrude it inside. Now this window has the part in the middle. So we add loop. We do Shift D, P selection. Remote 8 and extrude. I will call it frame 001. Actually, we haven't been naming anything, so I think pretty soon it will be a good idea to name stuff. So we don't get lost, so it's not like cube, cube, cube. So it's a little bit organized. Now we can do Control A, rotation and scale, and extrude it in with S, E, and S. Now, Shift H to have all this visible. So it's clear to what we work on. And now this one has 2 and 2. So you will need that here 2, here 2, here 2, and here 2. So same process like before. I know we could use a mirror, but it would just made me to create another loop in the middle and also over here. So I'll just do it like that. I don't want to make more loops. So now you select these, all of them, and Control B. Try to make it square like that. Oh, here is mistake. Now it's visible. Now the same thing. Select all the faces. And X and delete faces. Now select them with Alt like this. And bridge edge loops. Oops. Mistake. So you have to select it by one by one. Like that. Now same thing here. Same thing here. Control B. Try to match it. It doesn't matter if it will be a little bit imperfect because the reference has also some imperfections. So doesn't have to be really exact on the same point. Bridge. Here we can select this. Basically what we could do to make it perfect straight, we could do this. S and Z0. And then also this. S and Z. S and Z0. And then if you click G twice, it will slide on the edges. So now we can do it. And you have another window. Now what we can do the desk. Just going to be really simple. I'll just duplicate this face. Selection. Extrude it down. Select this. And if you want, you can give it a slight bevel. Also, you can do rotation and scale apply first. Yeah, stuff like that should be fine. Just small detail. Here, same thing. We can position it to the same height. Extrude it down. If you control plus and you select the object, P on selection, I mean, you could guys really write down these shortcuts because everything what I am pressing here and like telling you, you will be using 90% of the modelings you're gonna do. Doesn't matter if it's low poly or high poly, but you will basically use these shortcuts all the time. You can also add some details to here. You can just, oops, you can just select this face, Shift D, and P, and selection, and scale it down. Like that. Let's do Shift H so I can see it better. Like Shift H is a really important shortcut. Like whenever you model something really complex, some complex scene, it's really helpful to hide everything and have just visible the part you are working on. Also, here I want to scale it, so I'll just cursor to select it, an object set origin to cursor. Now I can just scale it down. I'll duplicate this, scale it down. Now we can select all of them, A, and extrude. Turn off this tool and press X to delete the faces. So let's finish the rest of the furniture, and that's gonna be it for today. And the next video we will do the props, the small parts. Shift H again. Now I can select this face and duplicate it. I'll do the same thing. I'll go to Shift S, cursor to select it, object, origin to 3D cursor. Scale it down. Oh, no, not yet. Go back. First we have to selection. Yeah. And now object, origin to 3D cursor. Now we just position it. Okay, now we can select it. Extrude. Next face. Now we can do another shelf. So this one we can move higher. and duplicate this shelf, move it back, scroll down. Okay, so this is it. The next, you should finish like this. And in the next video, we are going to do the props and other parts and finish the scene. So yeah. Also, as I mentioned before, you can rename this. Like for example, you click on this and you can say like wall, so it's more organized. You can here say like desk, or even better, table, desk 001, and you can rename the object so it's like more organized for you, and you can know, so it's not just cubes. And then if you need something like table, you type here and then it shows where it is. So yeah, this is all. So see you in the next video, and take rest, and hopefully you got something like that. Let me know in the comments if it was too easy, too hard, or how you feel, or even send me what you got. We'll be looking forward to see that. Bye bye.